Hello and welcome to this video blog based on research performed at the Jerry Falwell Library. The subject at point is Pedro Menendez de Avilez. He was a Spanish explorer in charge of leading the expedition to eliminate and destroy the Huguenots who had occupied North Florida in the mid 16th century, which is about 1561. There are multiple resources that were found in the library. Among them, one of them that caught my attention that's very important is the colonial records of Spanish Florida, which includes letters and reports from governors as well as secular persons. This publication is from 1925, but includes primary sources from the 16th century, therefore being very, very helpful in this research project. So this is a significant finding for my research on Fort Caroline. This text published in 1925, it includes records of Spanish Florida, letters, and obviously in the publication there are letters from Avilez, from Pedro Menendez de Avilez, particularly referring to the years of his attack and takeover of Fort Caroline. Avilez was appointed by the Spanish crown to crush the Huguenots who had settled in Fort Caroline in 1562. One fascinating resource that I became familiar with after this research is the Archivo General de Indias, which is a resource with over 40,000 documents from colonial Spain. It is currently managed by the Department of Culture of Spain, and a big part of it has been digitized, which allows, obviously, for very interesting research and insight into the events of that time period. Now, in terms of resources in Spanish, I am blessed with the ability to read and write in Spanish, so I looked into Spanish through resources in Spanish. Menendez was a Spanish explorer. After the massacre, he took over Fort Caroline and he founded the Fort of San Mateo. Later in 1565, he founded St. Augustine in North Florida. John E. Worth translated a large repository of documents from the Spanish colonial era. In this publication, Discovering Florida, First Contact Narratives from Spanish Expeditions Along the Lower Gulf Coast. Here, Worth discusses Avilez's expeditions and interactions with the powerful Indian chiefs of South Florida. Again, these resources are in Spanish, but they were later translated by John E. Worth. I was able to read some of them in Spanish, and it was very enlightening. Now, according to Worth, Avilez was attempting to position himself for a total takeover of territory of the Tequesta Indians around 1567, and this was only 2 years after Fort Caroline, which provides insight into the ambitions and vision of Pedro Menendez de Avilez of securing all of Florida for the Spanish crown. Finally, there was a resource, a text written by Maria del Carmen Velázquez, again in Spanish. And this was her argument is that Menendez de Avilez was the most significant figure in the colonization of Florida. Worth and Velázquez both agree about his vision to secure the entire region, particularly against threats from the French and the Indians. Thanks to Avilez's work, Florida was secured by the Spanish, and the Spanish owned what we know today as Florida for 280 years after these events. These are the references and the resources that I found. And again, the main thing here, the most important one, was within one of these resources, within the colonial records of Spanish Florida, and it was the archives of the Indies. And like I said, it is in Spain, but the majority of it has been digitized. Thank you for watching.